Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Storme, and thank you for joining me on this gorgeous Saturday morning. Welcome to all of our new subscribers as well. So today I'm super excited because this week we officially launched the ACPP, and that stands for Australian Counsellors in Private Practice. And the reason that I created this group was because, as you know, I recently released my registration as a psychologist to pursue two businesses. So one of those is a counseling / spiritual type business, and the other one is private practice consulting and coaching. And so I've moved more into the world now of counseling, and being exposed to a few different counselling groups online has been very, very interesting. Very interesting for a number of reasons. And I think my own experience was that I find some of the counselling groups to be a bit brutal, like quite aggressive almost. And it seems to be people get very worked up and passionate about politics, and very passionate about how counsellors are perceived by other health professionals and by other funding bodies. And I get that, but some of the conversations are just, I'm all about having optimism and working with what I've got and looking ahead and trying to maintain a high vibe. So I find it a bit of a struggle sometimes for myself to maintain that high vibe when I'm in some of these groups, especially when they're doing things like comparing, different professions. The big one at the moment is comparing social work with psychology with counselling. And, I don't know. It's just, I think too, because I've been on the other side, having been a psychologist for over 20 years and haven't had practice for nearly 25. And then, coming into this other group, like the counselling sector has been just an eye-opening experience on so many levels. And I'm really, really, really just so grateful to have been accepted into the community in the beautiful way that I have. But I'm also finding that it's a learning curve for me because counsellors see things very, very differently to the way that social workers and psychologists do. And the other thing that I realised now that I'm in some of these groups is that these groups are a blend of counselling, psychology and social work. And I felt like counsellors just needed a space of their own without the psychologists and the social workers coming in. And because I think when that happens, the waters get very muddied, and that's when the arguments and the fighting and the conflict and everything starts. And it's very interesting to me because psychologists have their own groups where psychologists and counsellors are not allowed to enter. Social workers online have their own groups too, where psychologists can't go because they're not social workers, and counsellors can't go because they're not social workers. Yet when it comes to counselling, it's like, a free-for-all, and everybody can come in and express their opinion. And the poor counsellors don't have one single space where it's just for them. And so I recognised that pretty quickly, and that's why I created the group ACPP, Australian Counsellors in Private Practice. So it's a free group online. It's no offence to the psychologists and social workers that listen, absolutely no offence to you. It's just you guys have your own groups, but there isn't one for counselling. So I've just started one just for counsellors. So guys, if you're a counsellor and you're looking at moving into private practice and you're not also a social worker or a psychologist, feel free to put in a join request and I'll absolutely let you in, because we do need to have our own space where we can talk freely about things. Okay, so that has been super exciting. And as I speak now, it's Friday morning and I'm just recording this episode. It's 9:30 and we've got 50 people in the group. So that feels really, really cool to me because I haven't even started advertising it. All I've done is pop it in my stories. But it seems to be going really well. And yeah, I'm just been getting lovely, lovely feedback about it. The other thing that has been going really, 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 really well is being able to connect with, women is my audience, as you know, being able to connect with women and find out about where they're at with their private practice journey. And I seem to have been inundated lately with people who are wanting guidance around taking the step from student or employee into private practice. And so I thought that's what I would focus on today. So one of the questions that came through was, is it enough? Like, am I being delusional in terms of thinking I can start a private practice next year with a diploma of counselling and with no experience in counselling? And I think this is such a good question because number one, whoever wrote it had to be super brave to share that. And they were being very vulnerable and they were being very authentic. And I really want to honor that. And I'm sure by that person being brave enough to post that question, they've become a voice now for lots of people who perhaps are standing on the sidelines and are a bit shy about asking that question as well. So I know there are probably going to be many different opinions. And so, for that reason, my approach for coaching people in private practice is to help them find their answers from within. I think when a question is posed along the lines of, what do you guys think? You're giving away your confidence, you're giving away your power, you're giving away part of yourself. And it's kind of like you're saying, well, if everybody will approve of this, then it's okay for me to do it. I think that's number one. We need to really realize that decisions that you make for your business at the end of the day are yours. You have to put your head on the pillow at night and be okay sleeping with those decisions, so to speak. And you have to be okay living with those decisions, right? Because everybody else who gives you their opinion isn't going to be there for you if it all goes pear-shaped, right? So I don't think you can put too much weight on what other people think. So my advice to you, if you're wondering whether or not you're experienced enough or qualified enough or whatever it is enough, is to take a moment for yourself and really connect into what's going on for you in terms of what are you thinking? Like, what story are you telling yourself about what it means to start a private practice with a diploma or a bachelor's or a master's, right? What story are you telling yourself about that? Because here's the thing, it's just a story, but that story is so powerful. It's going to determine your experience of the world around you. So if you feel like, and there are people who do have masters of counselling, and they also question whether or not they're qualified enough or experienced enough. So you really have to think about, what am I saying to myself it means to have this qualification or any qualification and run a practice? And take it a little bit deeper. We do this kind of deeper work in the private practice method. And if you're interested in that, there's 3 places available for a January 9 start. I'll put the details in the show notes for you. But taking that work deeper will absolutely be able to help you uncover what's at the bottom of your mindset around this. And with that awareness, you then have the ability to shift your perspective and shift your mindset. And in doing so, you shift your experience of the world around you, i.e. your reality, right? And so I would also do this sort of reflective work around the question of, what does it mean to have no experience? What is the story that you're telling yourself there about what it means to have no experience? And again, this is something that we're going to deeper in the method. But I think just starting with these questions will absolutely be enough to get you raising your own awareness around what's going on for you in terms of the dialogue that you have running through your mind and how it's serving you or how it's not serving you, and understanding where this dialogue's coming from, and that you absolutely have the power within you to change that, can be very, very liberating. I mean, think about what's going to become available for your practice when you change that story. And think about what's going to become available for your practice when you change the story that you have around experience or qualifications and things like that. And you know what? These aren't the only two stories that we have as women in private practice. We also have stories around our fees and what we should be charging. We have stories around marketing. You know, that's a big one, isn't it? That's a huge one. I wish I had $1 for every time a woman in private practice told me that she doesn't like marketing. And guess what? It's not that she doesn't like marketing, it's that she's picked up along the way stories that marketing is hard, that marketing doesn't work, that marketing is, requires grit, all those kinds of things. And so she's adopted and internalized other people's stories. And then when she has come to try marketing for herself, yes, she's then had a very difficult experience of it. And do you know what? In counseling, you might even refer to some of what's happening here as a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? But when you're creating your soul-aligned private practice, it's important to remember what soul-aligned means. We're not talking about creating a private practice from your head. We're talking about creating a private practice that feels good for you, because you cannot tell me that it's not possible to have a practice that you feel you have a deeper relationship to because of the connection that it has with your soul's purpose, right? You can't tell me that the only way to have a successful private practice is to just use strategies. And if you've got a special magical manual that has all of the very best strategies in it, you're guaranteed success. I think I'm calling BS on that. That's not how it works at all. What I stand for, what I absolutely believe, is you can have more than a business full of strategies. Strategies is part of it. Yes, practical strategies are essential for your business, but they're only a small percentage. I absolutely stand for you being able to create a practice with your own taste and flavor and spin and, specialness about it. And, I feel so much love for women who come to me and they don't want to have a niche because of fear. They're worried they're going to miss out on this, that, and the other, or they're worried about standing out and drawing attention to themselves. Yet at the same time, they're feeling like the business is just this external thing, this albatross around their neck that's just draining them of time, of resources, of energy, all that sort of stuff. And I stand for the fact that it need not be like that. I stand for the fact that you can have a private practice that is energizing for you, just like it is for me. Like, I get up in the morning and I'm excited, right? I'm excited, and I'm working from home, and I've turned the spare bedroom into a little office, and I'm excited. I love working with my clients because I did niche, and now I only get to work with clients that I love working with. And I don't take on everybody that comes through, every day, every week there are referrals that come in that I say no to, and I send them on to other therapists. And that is so liberating. It's like I get to choose, if you're going to be a good match, if I can help you, if we're aligned, if the vibe is right, then absolutely I'm going to love working with you, and we're just going to achieve some really amazing things together. Versus the mindset of, well, you've got to fill your diary and you've got to see this many people. I don't believe that. I believe you can see less people, be energized by your work, love what you're doing, and get paid your worth all at the same time. And yes, you can absolutely embody in your practice, the things that you hold to be valuable and true and meaningful for you. You get to choose that. You get to control that. And that's separate from your standard operating procedures, right? They're just part of it. They're not going to help you fall in love with your practice. And the reason that it's important that you fall in love with your practice is because this is your calling. This is what you wanted to do. You didn't spend thousands of dollars on your education and years of, unpaid voluntary hours in placements, accruing experience, and or your PD and your membership fees and all, insurance fees and all of that sort of stuff, to not do what you're passionate about. I think you just don't understand yet that it's safe for you to do what you're passionate about in a way that aligns with how you want to work and how your beautiful dream clients need you to show up for them. So I guess the lesson today is really around, of course, the only thing getting in the way of you beginning your private practice is you. Use some of those questions that I asked you, 10 minutes ago as, reflection points. And it might be helpful for you to even, I'm a big fan of creating a sacred space, whatever that's going to look like for you, and anchoring into your senses. So for me, I usually light a candle or a stick of incense, and I have a really beautiful weighted blanket. I love to wrap myself in this weighted blanket. I will make sure that the room is warm enough or cool enough. So, I have ambient music on in the background, and I will just set myself up for a really nice experience. I want to honor the process of doing this, reflective practice, because that's where all the goodness is. And you're going to have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul aligned private practice unfold for you when you use these strategies. But as I said, if you love this kind of stuff, and I hope that you do, and I trust that you do because you're here and you're listening, then absolutely get in touch with me for some information about the private practice method, because it could absolutely help you find your feet and find your confidence and sort out a whole lot of things for you in your business, not only from some of the more essential things like the practical things of your setting up your standard operating procedures and getting all your policies in place and stuff like that, but also learning how to tune into your masculine energy, listen to your feminine energy, harmonize those energies, utilize resources that you already have within, and learn new tools and strategies for how to access inner guidance when you need to. I mean, we even have a whole month in the method where we look at things like accessing guidance, like tools to access guidance, like oracle cards and what they are and how you use them and stuff like that. And we've got guest speakers almost every month coming in to give you bonus training and stuff like that on everything from managing your content to managing your finances as a woman in private practice to building a practice from soul alignment, all of that sort of stuff. So it's not like other more corporate-y type programs on running a private practice. This is for you guys. You're my tribe, and we all love the more spiritual, soul-based approach. So of course we're going to have a spiritual, soul-based approach, a methodology and a framework that you'll be able to develop your private practice on. And the other really cool thing about the method is that each month you have a goal and you're supported in achieving that goal, so that by the end of the 12-month period, by December next year, you'll be able to look back on, some really important and significant transformations in your private practice. Plus, the other cool thing about this program is it's the first time it's been run like this, and so I've got very special pricing, and so if you'd like some more information about that, of course, just get in touch with me and let me know. So thank you very, 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 very much for your time today. I trust that this landed for those of you who really needed to hear it today. And for those of you who are already in private practice, I don't think the salient points from this episode would be lost on you either. I'm sure this is an episode that everybody can take something away from. So thank you so much for your time. Please share this podcast with colleagues who you think are into this sort of stuff as well, because I would love for them to be able to benefit too. And I'll put the details for Australian Counsellors in Private Practice in the show notes for you as well. Have a beautiful Saturday. Enjoy your weekend, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks so much for listening. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.